we got some mic sharing. Is that okay? That's okay. Yeah?
That's quite all right. I have my own.
The queen has to have her own.
Yeah. How do you feel about sharing a mic with Dominique, though, after she gave away the proto-molecule? Yeah. Yeah, right?
Here we go again! I've had all this at San Diego Comic Con already. I'm sorry. I was doing the right thing.
There's going to be a lot of
sorry, own it.
No, I'm not sorry.
Own it.
Sorry, not sorry.
So season 2 is amazing. Congratulations on season 3. You said 6 episodes into the 13 shooting now, right?
Yeah.
It's going well and everything?
Going great.
Cool.
Fantastic.
Wait till you guys see it. It's so good.
So in season 1, we kind of established the universe. We learned about the faction. Season 2 was about learning who fell on what side, and that obviously switched throughout the season as well. Is there an overarching theme or kind of MO to season 3? And can you tell us where we pick up with each of your characters right out of the gates?
Well, let me tell you that it's like an overture to the Beethoven's Symphony No. 5.
Whoa. Oh my goodness.
That's just what I was thinking.
At the end of season 2, you know, the system's on the brink of war, Earth wars, and this year that war happens. I mean, that erupts. All of the fault lines that we've seen for the first 3 years really start to just it just blows to pieces. But you know, we find out more about what the proto-molecule is doing, and you know, the personal stories kind of track the overarching ones as well. And yeah, I mean, it somehow gets larger in terms of its scope, and also more in depth. We finished out the second book and start moving into the third. And you know, if any of you guys have read the books, and the third one's kind of got a different tone to it. It's got a more spiritual tone to it. It kind of starts asking questions that are maybe a little bit different than we've been asking before. But it's going to be a great season. We're super excited about it.
And how's Holden doing when we meet him again? How's his leg?
Holden had a hard last.
Is he okay?
Holden has come out of the second season. His white whale hunt did not go well, and right, exactly. He's picking up the pieces. I mean, I think he's come to the realization that he can't shoulder the entire burden of this thing. And he's focusing more on what he can do. He's actually taken more of a Naomi-esque worldview on focusing on the things that he can do that will make the world a bit better, because the mission to stamp it out has failed. So,
right.
So yeah, he's picking up the pieces.
I like that there's a Naomi-esque worldview.
Yeah.
Right for her to betray
To
him.
hold
I think for Naomi, if last season was about her mostly feeling misunderstood, season 3 is about her going towards or finding being understood and where she fits and who her people are and what the events of the solar system mean and what effect they've had on her. So yeah, she's kind of also picking up the pieces too.
Yeah. Is there anything you can tell us in terms of how the rest of the crew are going to handle Naomi's decision of giving the sample to Fred, and will that?
I think you should all guess.
Yeah. Okay. I think we know.
It's not great, guys. I fucked it. It's harsh on the Rosie crew actually. It's probably the biggest betrayal they've ever faced from one of their own. So there's a lot of me hiding in corners of the Rocinante and trying to talk to people and
a lot of awkward moments.
But they make for some beautiful, beautiful scenes.
And Wes, where do we pick up with Amos? Because I think for us, there's so many questions about his history and what's his background and what's going on. Because you kind of have no emotion sometimes.
No, he has emotion. It's just his emotions are different than probably the norm. But I think we start season 3. Amos is obviously the most important relationship in his life. He's been betrayed, and he's a bit. And he's a bit disoriented by that, and he's trying to reorient himself, and he reverts back to the law of the jungle, which is what he was raised in, which he knows best, and that has a lot of implications and impact for season 3, and he's really trying to find something to grab a hold of, something solid.
Are we going to, oh, and by the way, we're going to open it up to you guys for audience questions in just a minute, so get your questions ready, and we don't have a mic, so we'll just get you to shout it and we'll repeat it, so get your questions ready. But really quickly, Wes, are we going to delve more into his backstory? Because more so than some of the other characters on the show, we really, like, there have been all these hints that something's happened, or are we going to get into that right out of the gate?
Yes, you're gonna learn a lot more, and particularly because of the relationship that kind of deteriorated between him and Naomi, you kind of see who he is without her presence, and in that you start to understand where he came from. There's a novella called The Churn that's a part of the Expanse world, and it's my favorite. It's about Amos, so. But ultimately, that is the foundation. That is the Bible that I created Amos out, or that we have created Amos out of. And in this season, you will start to learn more about exactly where he comes from, what happened to him as a child, and why he is the way he is. You're gonna learn more about it, definitely.
And obviously, Frankie, will we see more ass kicking from Bobbie?
Yeah, you get to see pretty much all I've done so far with ass kicking. And I get to hang out with Avasarala a bit more, which I'm sure you guys love.
Can you give us a bit of an indication of like the dynamic and how the relationship between you two evolves in the next season?
Oh, should I tell? I might have yelled at her a few times. I've sworn at her. Yeah, Bobbie's really brave, I think, because she's probably one of the only people in the universe that will tell Avasarala to fuck off.
Is that a relationship, Shohreh, that you like exploring in season 3?
I love the idea of the two women together.
Yeah.
You are going to enjoy those scenes very much. These two women, alone in the universe, they have each other, and despite their differences, their background, the one is from Mars, the other one is an Earther who keeps saying Earth must come first, but no matter what, because of the fact that they're both from the same gender, they understand each other so well, and they stand by each other, which is fantastic. But the line that she was referring to, I love that. Let's do it. I say, Bobbie, don't be an idiot.
Ma'am, for the first time in your life, please shut the fuck up.
It's like Shakespeare.
It is indeed. It is pretty Shakespearean. All the ingredients of Shakespeare is there. Jealousy, betrayal, conspiracy theories, of course. It is very much based on
Cass Ambar.
Awesome. Questions from you guys at all? We'll start with you. Very enthusiastic
the
hand.
young lady in the middle.
Enthusiastic.
Hi.
No pressure.
It's just Morgan and I. Don't be nervous. We're just.
We got you.
I'm actually shaking right now. First of all, the books are my favorite series. The writing is so good. I want to cry sometimes. It's amazing. And I mean, Stephen, you're Holden. You're him, and as an insufferable idol of myself, I relate to him the most. You guys are all amazing. I just personally relate to the character a lot.
Yes.
And you played him just to the T 100%. I love it.
Thank you.
So my question is, a lot of actors refrain from reading the books because they feel like it will affect their role. So I was just wondering if you guys have read the books, and if you have, has it affected your role, or do you refrain from reading it because, you find out your character dies or something like this? Like, for example, has Cass ever asked, oh, can you get a little too handsome to play Alan?
He has asked that
You
multiple
guys
times.
know him so well.
He asks that every day.
All the time. Never stops asking that.
And each of us, one by one, before we go on set.
Just,
No, he doesn't tell us. As a matter of fact, no. He knows it. You've read the books.
Yeah.
I started, but then I decided not to. Because I didn't want to know what happens next to this character.
Same.
And I keep asking my nieces and Stephen, because they are also reading the books, do not tell me. But they call me and say, Auntie Shohreh, I just finished the 5th novel. You're still alive.
Yeah, I have. I've read the first 3, and I actually read the first 2 before I knew this was being adapted. I was a fan of the books before I knew it was happening. So yeah, they're fantastic books. And we're so lucky because we have the authors of the novels in our writers' room. They write episodes. They're there on set every day. So I mean, staying true to this amazing narrative, is really easy for us because we have them there all the time. It's different for everyone. For me, I found using the books to mine, especially Holden's childhood, to justify everything that happens to him. So much of what we hang our hat on in this show is how real it plays. And so much of that is about psychology, and it's about people's personal histories, and nobody's black and white here, and you have to kind of explain, for myself, it's like justifying each step along the way and why that happens. So I found them incredibly helpful, and amazing reads as well, but having some kind of architecture to work in has always really helped me.
I read 1.5. And then I stopped because, like Shohreh, it was like going to a tarot reader for me. I was like, I don't want to know.
Did you get to my chapter 5?
I can't remember.
I like Stephen. I knew about the books before. I was at Comic-Con for something else, and I think 4 or 5 years ago, before I even heard of the Expanse, and I think James S. Corey had a booth. And a friend of mine said, have you read these books? So it's funny how everything comes together, because as soon as I started reading it, I got the script for the pilot. And I said, well, I'm in the process of reading this. And I said, guys, this is special. This is, I let the team know, and I said, this is something really special. The book is incredible. But I found that, because at first I dove right in, and I read 1 and 2 right away, and I found that I started to get confused if I get too far ahead. So the great balance for me is to read a book a season. Like, read the book before we get into it, and then stop, and then do the season, and then go back.
That's awesome. You guys should read them when you're done.
We will.
When we're done,
in 20 years. 20 years.
10 years from now.
Yeah. And what about you, Frankie?
Hi. I read the first 2. I actually read the second book before we came back for this season and just became really obsessed with it. And surprisingly found that Bobbie and I are more similar than I thought. I used to think we were so different, but I'm tough too, man.
I think I'm scared. All right, okay.
Back up.
Green shirt, yeah.
Hi, my name is Caroline. I'm actually from BatgirlNerds.com.
Hey.
So my question is for Dominic, and it has to do with why she decided to give the molecule to Fred. I was wondering what, apart from how it affects the whole crew, what about him made her decide that he was trustworthy with it? Out of everyone else that they met along the way, she decided he's the one I'm going to trust with it. What made Fred seem more trustworthy to her out of everyone else?
I think
Good question.
And did everybody hear that? It's about why did she give the proto-molecule away and why trust Fred specifically?
I'd just like to say, first of all, that Naomi done that. It wasn't me. Just to start off on that. I think Naomi had an opinion of Fred when they first met him. She did not like this guy. Probably more so than anyone else. And I think he just, he changed her mind through her being there, being on Tycho, the stuff they went through. She just decided that he was the right person, that he actually was more for the good of the belt than what she initially thought. You know, a lot of her problem with him in the beginning was that she's, based on her past, she's not very good with people with causes. She doesn't want to get involved with anyone because of stuff that's happened to her before, which we'll start to find out a bit more about. So yeah, he kind of proved her wrong in ways. And also I think for her, the idea that the belt should have it was more important than who she gave it to, even though she still had to pick the right person, but you know, it was more important that the belt had a part in this and that they didn't become the underclass again with this bioweapon.
So just one thing, so when Naomi ends with Amos, like what you just mentioned is her past affects how she reacts to people, how she interacts with people now, and for Amos it's the same thing. So will we get a flashback or a delve into more of their backstory to what makes them so connected? Because I don't say they're each other's person. She's connected with Holden, and Amos is connected kind of with Alex, but they have that extra special bond. So we get a bit more of their backstory about how they reacted, how they came to be in the past, and how they are now.
I think not so much their backstory, but I don't know if you guys have seen the origin comics that Hallie Lambert and Georgia Lee, who are two writers on our show. They've done origin comics that you can get on Comixology, and Naomi's comic is about her and Amos coming together on the Canterbury and how they did. So that's worth giving that a little download. You can only get it digitally, but that addresses that moment. Before that, we don't really get to see it, but I think you will see in the latter half of season 3 how what she done affects them, their specific relationship. But yeah, the comic shows that. We don't really go into it other than that, really. Would be interesting.
All right, next question. The gentleman, you haven't even put your hand down. It would take a lot of energy for me to hold it up. So next question goes to you for not even putting your hand down.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm a fan of the show. I've seen many episodes. I haven't seen them all yet, but I have a couple of friends who haven't seen any episodes at all.
Why are they still your friends?
Just about to say that.
Different choices. But I also know that with many science fiction shows, the first episode of a show is not necessarily the best or #1 episode to actually start a person into a great fandom of a show. In your guys' opinions, if you were to choose the quintessential episode to sit down and watch to make a fan an absolute fan, which episode?
Maybe the one we won a Hugo for.
That's episode 10 of season 1, by the way.
You should have dropped your mic after you said that.
Wow. I would say my favorite episode probably was episode 5 in season 2. I think I got that right. Where they're Miller Kamikaze. I think. I mean, you can't really like show that to someone without having any backstory, but I think that it's such a crescendo of what's gone on in the story so far, and there is such poetry to it. I mean, I know that that Mark and Hawk, who are two of our executive producers and writers on the show, when they were thinking about adapting The Expanse, that scene in particular, them colliding into Venus together, you know, hand in hand, was something they had been wanting to write for 2 years. Wow. And I watched it and I was like, yep, they sure did. It was so stunning and emotional and gorgeous and still understated in so many ways. To me, that's been the quintessential episode thus far.
Episode 5?
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
I would still say the pilot, because I don't think you can watch season 2 if you want independently, but I think the disarray of episode 1 101 of us all not knowing each other, the thing that happens at the end of the episode, in case you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it, but that thing, those of you that have, I just think it should propel you into wanting to see what happens to these people. And if not, then don't watch it.
Don't watch it.
I think you should make them watch the whole first season. Just say it's a very long episode.
Hello, you have the dog on your shoulder. Yeah, yes, hello.
I actually literally just showed my friend who's staying with me the first 2 episodes, and she's like, yes. And she's like, this might be something I'm gonna get my husband to watch with me. I'm like, yes.
Thank you.
And one of the things that I find that's the most impressive about this entire show is the fact that there is a very high degree of realism and accuracy to it, especially with Frankie culture and like Shohreh's costumes. I love them. And with the scientific accuracies, and I actually want to know who's the best at pronouncing all those little things, and who's the one that has the most blunders and the funniest ones.
Question is about pronouncing the scientific jargon.
You definitely have the most scientific
Yeah,
jargon,
I'm
right?
the engineer, I'm always like, this drive and blah, blah, blah. But do you know what, me and Frankie were talking about this, that sometimes for us it's really hard for us to get our accent around the way that the show is written, because American people write it.
So hard.
And sometimes we just cannot get words out. It's like, why is this sentence formed this way? By the way, I love the writing on the show. Love it. It's just like an accent thing. And the other day I was like, does this happen to you? She was like, no. I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad there's someone else.
It's like your mouth can't form the sentence as well as an American
It's so weird.
person could.
So we have issues with that. But yeah, I'd probably say the most tech garb. But, you know, I'm alright.
What's some of the funniest slips that you've had on the show? Oh my god.
We all have slips.
Oh my god.
There's one that there's one that I remember very specifically, and it's in the first season outtakes. I wonder if they'll ever release that. Because we saw it at the rap party. They show the reel of us messing around.
I hope so.
But Steven and I were in deep conversation, and the camera was on him, and we did his coverage and everything, and we were in conversation. They turned the cameras around, and I didn't know that it was on me. And so usually, sometimes when we're doing a take, I'll do things to like mess him up or to freak him out or say very naughty, inappropriate things. And I was saying all these things, and he kind of looked at me and said, "The camera's on you." So there's a take where I'm thinking it's on Steven, and I'm like, ah! But it's on me through the whole thing.
Is there a lot of that goes on set, kind of messing each other up and stuff? Because you seem to get along very well in person.
Yeah, that's all we do.
Yeah?
The banter
Is give each other a hard time.
is high.
It's hysterical.
Mostly Amos.
Mostly revolves around Amos.
Do they give you a hard time, Shohreh, when you're trying to do your thing?
Yes. No, actually, he's been very gentle.
Oh,
Yes, I've been blessed with Amos.
Yeah, Bobbie?
Let's start with the obvious. You guys are doing a wonderful job. You're just crushing it. So keep going.
Thank you so much for that.
Now, with your characters, what are the things as you learn more about them? What are the things that surprise you about your characters as you try and develop more? Things that you didn't think your character would be doing, learn what they're doing. And then this question specifically for you. So far, we've seen Avasarala at about a 6. And she's a fierce, formidable woman. When are we going to see her at 9 or 10?
Well, she is who she is. She's not going to change. This is what This is what I love about her. That's right, and I identify with it a lot. Having left behind a revolution, driving through Europe to get myself from Tehran to London, so I can identify with her. What I love about her, she's an independent, smart, well-educated, well-read, and very understanding, an amazing politician, not a puppet, a real one.
How has Holden surprised you as you've gone on, Stephen?
You know, I think the quality that playing him, you know, because having been a fan of the books myself, you know, Holden's really resilient. He's a very resilient guy. He gets beaten down quite a bit. And, you know, it's a very untraditional hero arc. You know, he, after Eros and this kind of slide into this very dark place, he was almost consumed by fear in a lot of ways. He's bounced back from losing his friends in the Canterbury and bounced back from the loss of Miller and experiencing a genocide firsthand. And you know, for me, it's always important to remember that he was completely unprepared for any of this. You know, he was specifically out there to avoid responsibility when you meet him. So, you know, having him grow into the role that, you know, I as a fan of the books and as a reader want him to be, requires him to get beat down a few times. And it's his bounce back, I think, that has always really surprised me and made me really empathize with Holden, because he keeps trying, you know, even if he fails quite a bit. But to me, that's the joy in playing him. That's also the part that surprises me most about him, is that there's something in there that keeps pushing him forward.
You ever kind of miss old, like, apathetic jerk Holden, though?
I know, I do. Who just wants to make fun of the guy with the cats? That's all he wants to do, man. Yeah, those days are long gone, dude. Long gone.
I think what surprises me about Naomi is her, as we've gone along, her compassion and vulnerability, mostly for the belt. Because, you know, you get a role like that as a woman and it's like, oh, she's tough and hard and sassy. But what has been most beautiful about her and that I've had the most joy playing is her vulnerability, because that to me makes her a real woman. That those are the women that I know, those are the women I grew up with. Okay, they're tough and sassy, but their vulnerability is what makes them the full picture of who they are, and that mothering aspect. And I love that about her, and I love that she, like all the characters, she believes what she is doing is right. And I love that the writers never sway from that for any of us. And the other one thing that surprises me, which we always joke about, is how we're literally our characters in real life swapped around. So most of the time we feel like we're talking to ourselves, which is funny. You know, Naomi's so logical and calm and collective and rational, and Holden's not. And we're actually the other way around in real life, so we joke about that a lot. But yeah, those are the things that surprise and that I also love about her, actually.
I think one of the things that really surprised me about Amos, and I think is beautiful, and we really get to show it this season, is Amos's tenderness and kindness towards children. And there is you know, specific things that happened to him in his childhood that he has a certain kind of connection and an ability to empathize with children that he doesn't really have with adults. And there's, you know, there's a lot of beautiful moments in this season where you see that side of him, which I thought was really interesting.
I'm probably the same as Dom. I think Bobbie's softer moments really surprised me. I think it's so easy to think of Bobbie as this, you know, always patriotic, tough woman that just nothing ever bothers her, and I think that's not really human. So I quite like that they incorporate some vulnerable moments of Bobbie in this story. And you'll get to see her, oh shit, I can't say that. But you'll get to see her.
Way over there in the yellow.
Okay.
Yeah, you.
So I was saying I'm a big fan of the books and the series. When I was reading it originally, and I was reading specifically Avasarala, I was like, oh my god, I hope they get Shohreh to play her. So I'm so glad that you got
Really? Cool.
Yeah, I really did. So my question is, I know that a lot of you haven't read necessarily all of the books. There are some particularly interesting characters in the third book, and my question is, will we be able to will we get to see any of them, either the POV ones or some of the other ones?
Question was about characters from book 3.
There's not. There's a lot we can't talk about.
Like what?
Like, for example, I will say that we do move into book 3, and you know, as we've adapted the books, you know, things have moved around here and there with the help and guidance of the authors. So I won't say exactly what happens in terms of what we use and how far we go into there, but in terms of the specific people and things and stuff like that, I can't say. I'm sorry.
But we can say that you'll be satisfied.
Yes. It'll be really good.
It'll be really good.
Satisfaction guaranteed.
Right here up front. Hi.
Oh, thank you so much.
Interesting question.
That's a great idea. We should have her.
Question was about switching parts, and she loves the whole cast, but especially Stephen.
That's actually kind of a good idea. I mean, we haven't done that, but we should. I mean, we were. Yeah. Oh, that's right. I mean, we rehearse every weekend. So it might be something fun to do.
I read Kaz's parts sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while we do, for sure. In the rehearsals and stuff, if we don't have someone there, you know, you'll jump into, you know, to Tom's part if he's not in town, or you know, something like that.
I like trying out my New Zealand accent.
She does it really well.
It's not that good, but
With British accent, yes. She was educated back in the UK. Almost 200 years from now.
Okay. Looking at you. Yes.
So one of my favorite things about it being filmed in Toronto is I kind of recognize certain places. And question for you guys, on Series, there's like that restaurant that Miller used to go to a lot, which is in Toronto, is one of like my favorite places. Canton Ramen. Have any of you guys actually eaten at that restaurant?
no, but I always walk past it and I'm like, I should go in there.
Make sure you guys have the ramen there. It's awesome.
What's the restaurant?
Canton
Queen
Where you
and
guys
Spadina.
shoot Miller's like scenes at the bar.
It's Queen and Spadina, isn't it?
Yeah. Are you the owner of Kinton Ramen? I believe you are. And you're a genius. I'm not in the Expanse, but I literally eat lunch there once a week. I swear. Anybody else like ramen?
That sounds great.
That guy with a red face has had his hand up for ages.
Okay.
All right, well, let's keep him until the end then. I'm just kidding. After
What was really funny is she goes, that guy with the red face has, and then he looked around and goes, me? You're the guy with the red face!
Who else has a red face?
Hello.
So I first want to express my appreciation for how far the Expanse has come, and that you brought in a few guest stars from Flashpoint, like Hugh Dillon and Clay Bennett. And my question is, what's your favorite scene so far, besides Bobbie punching Captain Martins in the face?
Favorite scene so far?
Mine, for sure, selfishly, was the 52 scene, the air scene where I had to pick a bunch of people to go on the ship because there wasn't enough air in season 2. That equally broke my heart, but was great to shoot. That's my favourite so far. One of my favourites.
Mine was when Drummer shot those two guards that were holding him prisoner. I really liked that moment.
My favorite scene, beating up Martins, of course. But my favorite scene to watch was, of mine, obviously, was the the scenes where my soldiers had died and it was on Ganymede and it was like red snowflakes and yeah, I didn't know it was going to look like that because obviously I was just looking at a camera the whole time, but seeing it in its final product was, yeah, really rewarding.
My favorite scene is when I scold air rights for betraying me. Our writers are brilliant. I love that scene. Our writers are amazing. And I love the last line where I tell him, government is more important than any corporations.
I would have to say Joe Miller finally meeting Julie Mel. That's my favorite one.
It's true. It's true. It's true. It does. Politically, I was.
All right, back to the floor. Oh, did you see Mark back there? Hey, Mark, what's up? Who are you pointing at? All right, let's do it.
Mark Asquith, producer. Hello.
Well, first off, I want to say how delicious all of the strong female personalities on the show are. Really wonderful. But my question is specifically for Frankie. You've been with Frankie Marshall Kool-Aid on the show for like a long time. Do you think that your character really can get past that and really kind of get past that, like having been a Mars patriot for that long?
Oh, sorry, what was the first half of that question?
You drank the Mars Kool-Aid.
I did repeat it.
Oh yeah, it tastes good.
Really can break out of like all of that and
She's still struggling with it right now. She's looking for some sort of payoff for what the proto-molecule did for her soldiers. But no, I think she'll always struggle with it because it's her home. But she's still, she's definitely grown and understands things a lot better than she did. But I don't think that she'll ever really let go of that.
Do you think the reality of seeing Earth for what it is has a positive or negative effect on
I think it's been a positive. I think it was really confronting, but I think that just like any human, that sort of stuff is important for growth, and I think she's sort of become, she's not really the woman that you saw in the beginning of season 2, is probably what I would say. Yeah, she's grown a lot.
Yeah, education. Robin from Batman is related from
Wait, you say Batman? We saw Superman.
Okay.
Batman and Superman. I've been waiting for a while. Who wins? You guys fight, and then no, I'm just kidding. Don't fight. Superman, my buddy in the back. Yeah, hey man, how's it going?
Thanks for coming again this year. You were here last year, it was awesome. So thanks for coming again this year. I just wanted to know, in terms of the character development, just how much input you have with the writers, development of their characters.
Question was about if they have input with the writers on the development of their characters.
Our writers are doing such an amazing job. It's unbelievable, especially in terms of development of the characters. Sometimes it's just unbelievable. When I read an episode and I'm thinking, oh boy, I never thought Avasarala could go as far as this. So they're doing an amazing job.
They are, and we're blessed with such incredible writing and such incredible source material. I think so. It's important to, these characters have been ingrained in the science fiction, lexicon for a while. But we have such confident writing and competent writers. There is a lot of collaboration. We talk to each other. We communicate a lot. And we really work on this thing in a very kind of organic way where it almost has the feel more of like a theater company than it does a television show. So it's incredibly artistically liberating. They provide the structure and framework and architecture for these incredible, nuanced characters and trust us to build them. It's very cool. It's been one of the greatest pleasures.
And challenging, very challenging.
In the best ways.
In the best ways.
Yeah.
Where is
Batman?
Batman, where are you?
He left us.
That's my George Clooney impression. Oh, did Batman leave? Oh, Batman's sad. Sad Batman.
He's always been jealous of Superman.
We chose sides.
Hello. Hey.
So, it's a pleasure to meet you all.
Hi.
Thank you for having us.
So my question, getting back to somebody mentioned about the costumes and the sets, and I think that's part of what makes it so engaging, just how amazing both of those are. And so I wanted to ask each of you, if you had a story, or when you go on set, is there something that you either really look forward to doing or dread doing?
Something you look forward to doing or dread doing when you get to set?
I look forward to, first off, were those beautiful sarees that our designer, Joanne Hansen, designs. She does an amazing job. Truly, when I wake up, we're like children, you know, actors are like children. Thank God for that. The child within is still alive. So the child wakes me up and says, go wear that beautiful saree. It's waiting for you. So the saree takes me there, and then the lines in my mind, in my head, I'm thinking about what is going on. And I believe that young lady referred to it as a contemporary story, which it is, although we keep saying it's a science fiction, but it's relatively speaks for today. That's why I can't wait to run these lines. And sometimes I tell the writers, the other day, there was a line that I loved, and I thought it's so important that to say it now. Don't wait for it for another year to come out. And I told one of the writers, I think I did the wrong thing. I said, I wish we were soap opera and we could film it in the morning and show it in the afternoon. So people would see how contemporary we are, how timely this show is. That's why I can't wait to run those lines.
How did the editors feel when you suggested that? That's some fast editing.
You're like, oh, sure. I truly wished, because it was like what I had seen something in the news, and then my line said the same thing. And I thought, oh my God, it's too close. I wish we could air it tonight, so people would see how timely this show is.
I think in terms of costumes and sets, they so much shape your character and who you are and your head and where it goes and a lot of our sets are physical. There's a lot of VFX, but a lot of them are physical. So walking into the Rocinante, for instance, it's like you're there. I've got my onesie on. It's like I'm Naomi. I've got to say, like, the spacesuits and armor and stuff are not that much fun to wear, but they look fantastic on screen. So we suck it up, and it's our job. But they're not the most fun aspect, but the result is overwhelmingly incredible. And kudos to our set designer and costume designer. They're incredible.
I'm gonna give a shout out to our props department too, because they, from the production design down to the props, I mean, some of our sets are 4 stories high. I mean, like, these are enormous sets that when you step onto them, you feel like you're there. I mean, which, for us is such an incredible luxury because you're not staring at a green screen trying to imagine it. But, just a little fun fact, like that badge from the first season, that XO badge that I didn't want, Holden, I have that in my pocket in every scene.
Really?
Yeah, for the last 3 years.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's like, everyone's like a great prop will do that. It's like you attach an emotional significance onto a thing. And every time I have it in my pocket, just the weight of it being there reminds me of Holden. So like, every bit of it, helps to, you've got to trick yourself into being in the right headspace. But it's a team sport. I mean, like, we all need each other for that to happen. So we've got an incredible group on this job. Yeah.
It's not just that you forgot it there and you've never washed those pants.
I just never do any laundry.
Okay.
That's it.
And for you? Yeah. Go for it.
What takes you to work?
What do we have? Costume. Yes. So I wear some armor, which is amazing. But I'd say by the 3rd hour, that's when I started to become a bitch. That's when I'm like, I'm not saying a single word, because if I speak, that's using energy, and I'm already using energy to wear this entire suit in the first place. And not only that, I have to kill things when I'm wearing it. So, yeah, that's hard. That's a hard one. But the end result is, I saw my stunt double wearing it the other day, and I was like, holy shit, I've never seen it from this perspective, and it is really cool. It's really cool. I love it.
Cool.
And hate it.
I agree with what everybody said earlier, and I feel the same. But there's something that's really interesting that happens. This is our third season, and the relationships that we have built working on this, we've grown very close. And there's something really interesting when we wrap and we go off and we do our own thing, we live our own lives. And then we come back, and when I first come back, I was like, well, who is Amos again? And it's always hard to kind of get back into it and kind of get the story back. But as soon as we show up on set, and as soon as I put, Amos's outfit on and have that little devil pin and the tattoos, and I see, these people that I've gotten really close, the relationship that we have personally is really closely related to the fictional relationship we have on screen, because we didn't know each other, we got thrown in this situation, and then we became very close, we became like family. And they're like, speak for yourself, dude. But ultimately, I think it's really, it's a fascinating thing in sense memory. When I show up and I walk on set, we're in that dark studio, and I put on the Amos outfit and I see all these people and this relationship, and immediately it goes right back to the story, and everything clicks to me emotionally. It's really interesting how that happens.
Interesting. I take Avasarala home. I swear to God, and sometimes, I listen to her. Use her wisdom, because I'm not as wise. I don't have those amazing novelists and writers to write for.
We have to wrap it up in a second. I just have one more question, but before we do, the first 75 people in line got a golden ticket. I don't know if it's probably not gold, it's probably a small piece of it. But if you got one of those tickets, if you head after the panel, don't leave yet, one more question, but our space booth is 1252. If you haven't seen it yet, if you go into the South building, it's at the back in the middle, you see a big space banner, and anybody with a ticket will be getting autographs from the cast, which is awesome. So thank you for coming. But just to wrap it up, what's that? Oh, we got to do it right. Okay, who's got one super quick audience question?
We do two and brief.
But we got to wrap. One last super quick audience question. Shohreh told me.
Yes,
yeah.
Hi, I was here 2 years ago when you presented your sneak peek show of the world premiere, and I voiced my worries about getting too much of the stories of the books. Happily, you did. Because we had a little bit more backstories of Bobbie in the second season, which was great, by the way. Which characters would you like to see more of the backstories in the next season or 4th or 5 seasons?
Amos and Bobbie.
Amos and Alex.
I know Alex.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, Amos for me.
I like the character of Drummer a lot. I'd like to learn more about her.
The drummer.
Cool.
How cool would it be to see a flashback of Avasarala?
Oh yeah! And we do have to wrap it up, but before we go, what is being a part? We have to wrap it up. I'm sorry. I don't want to. It's so scary when you tell me what to do. I don't want to cross you. But everyone will get mad. Oh goodness! Oh no! What has being a part of this series meant to you, and any final thoughts or words for the fans here at Fan Expo?
We love you. We're so happy that Fan Expo gave us a chance to see you face to face and hear you out. Thank you so much. Thank you for being there for us.
Awesome. All right, keep it going for the stars of the Expanse. Season 3 coming to space in 2018. Watch Inner Space for all the details. Keep it going, yeah! Anyone with a ticket, head to the space booth, number 1252, South Building. See you there.